want me to wax what off now? Oh, okay. Well, anyway, this is the Disenfranchised Podcast, that podcast all about those franchises of one, films that fancy themselves full-fledged franchises before falling flat on their face after the first film. I am your host, Stephen Foxworthy. Joining me, as always, is my young grasshopper, even though he's older than me. It's Tucker. Hey, Tucker.
Hi, Stephen. How's it going?
It's going. How are you?
I'm okay. I've just been sitting here going left to circle, right to circle, left to circle, right to circle, up, down. I've been doing all that stuff, painting fences, waxing cars, sanding floors, all that. I'm just wondering when it's going to come into play in my karate training.
You know what? I think patience is the key in all of these areas.
Shit, I guess so. I
mean, I hope
that
so.
crane kick, dude.
For your don't we all?
Bad, dude.
Can we just skip ahead to the crane
down?
Kick? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't think I didn't immediately notice her sweep the leg in the first fight scene she has in this movie. Don't think I didn't notice that. Anyway,
yeah, they're gonna need a body bag.
Our other co-host Brett Wright is currently on a trip to a monastery. Hopefully, by the time he gets back, he will be able to round kick to Okinawa, like he promised. At any rate, we are here in celebration of the 40th anniversary this week of one of the great films of, honestly, of all millennials or Gen Xers' lives growing up in the early 80s. 40 years old this week. The Karate Kid, starring Pat Morita, Ralph Macchio, and directed by John G. Avildsen. However, that movie got sequels, so we can't talk about it. But what can we talk about instead, Tucker?
Well, the first one is the first Karate Kid. The premise is, what if there was a Karate Kid? And so they
right.
used up
very simple, straightforward premise.
They used up Ralph Macchio, all right, and so they were like, what if there was a Karate Kid, but it was a straight up girl? And so we are watching
a girl,
woman. Call back to off mic conversation.
Right, I was going to say, that was something we were not talking about when we were recording.
We are watching the one movie where the main character never closes her mouth, The Next Karate Kid.
1994 is The Next Karate Kid, directed by Christopher Kane, written by Mark Lee, and starring Noriyuki, Pat Morita, Hilary Swank, Michael Ironside, Constance Towers, Chris Conrad, Arsenio Trinidad, Michael Cavallari, and do my eyes deceive me or deceive me? I'm gonna take that again.
They do, yeah, I guess.
They really do. In this case, yes. Do my eyes deceive me, or is that blink, blink, checks notes, Walton Goggins?
Yeah, dude. It's little baby welding goggles.
What a cast. What a picture.
Something. Boy, it sure is something. Look, I like Hilary Swank. I love Boys Don't Cry. You seen Boys Don't Cry, Steven?
I haven't. I need to.
Shit. That's one of the best performances from anybody that I've ever seen is Hilary Swank in that movie. She
deservedly won an Oscar for it.
She acts her fucking pants off. Well, maybe not in that movie, because then you'd see her fake penis, but it's a really good movie. It's a really good movie, and it's one of those early films that was kind of before its time, to where a lot of people like myself who were ignorant to the struggle of the queer community, seeing that movie kind of helped me to understand that, you know, that maybe they don't have it so great sometimes, you know?
Right.
It's a really good movie, but it's a fucked up movie. But like not in a weird way, in a like, this is reality. These things happen and you have to watch it happen. Right. And shame on you if you ever thought that it was okay to be mean to a queer person, because this is what they go through. And it's a really eye-opening, at least then it was an eye-opening film. Not so much now, I guess. But then, like in the 90s, like we were just going on about our business. Like nobody had a care in the world. Like us straight white people, we didn't know that everybody else was suffering, you know? We were just having a great time.
How could we know? How could we know that
How would we
life
know?
wasn't great for everyone that didn't look like us? How could we
Exactly.
know? I mean, I would say there are definitely movies that kind of raise social consciousness of certain aspects of the queer community. I would say Boys Don't Cry, definitely one. The
Oh
Crying
shit,
Game
yeah.
for
Oh yeah.
another one.
Yep.
Like just, but again, in the 90s, these things seemed radical, which is weird because they'd existed like forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of one of those things like, I don't know, like we needed stuff like that to break into the mainstream for us to start for cishet people like you and me to start paying attention, I think.
Well, when you see movies like Boys Don't Cry and The Crying Game and a couple others that I can't think of right now, it makes you, as an ignorant straight white person in the 90s, it makes you realize that the reason that you don't see a lot of people like this is because they are deeply underground, because they are afraid for their fucking lives.
Because they have to be, right?
And that's why you don't know that they're there. That's why you don't know they're not having a good time, because they're staying away because they're literally afraid of you.
Right.
And that's movies like that, especially in the 90s, that woke your boy up for sure. For sure.
And I think one of the benefits of movies like that now is now we're starting to see representation. We're seeing people within those communities representing themselves as opposed to a cishet person like Hilary Swank representing them, which again, no shade or disrespect to Hilary Swank.
No.
But yeah, like it's good to see people within those communities being able to represent themselves is all I'm saying.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to I Saw the TV Glow.
Hell yeah. Loved that movie.
Even though I did not like that movie, like I respect what it was doing, and the person who plays the gal in that movie, who also played Ted's daughter in Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Yeah. I knew I recognized her from something.
Actor. I love them so. I will watch anything they're in. And like I said, I did not particularly care for I Saw the TV Glow, but I respect what it was doing.
Yeah,
for sure.
Whereas I thought it was pretty good, man. I liked it a lot.
And you and every other motherfucker thought it was fantastic, and I was just like, I don't get it.
Well, you know, it's okay. It's all good, man. Not everything is for everybody.
That's okay.
Not everything's for everybody. It's all right.
Anyway, the reason I brought it up is because I really like Hilary Swank. You know?
Yeah.
I like her, but she's not good in this movie.
This is her breakout role, for good or ill, and I think maybe ill, but this is kind of her big breakout.
Yep.
Do you want to know something wild for me? That this is something I realized as I was watching this movie. This movie comes out 10 years after Pat Morita's one and only Oscar nomination for the original Karate Kid, and 5 years before Hilary Swank's first Oscar win for $1 Million Baby. That is wild not for, I'm sorry, for Boys Don't Cry. Boys Don't Cry.
That's
sorry.
Wild.
$1 Million Babies later. Boys Don't Cry. Like, fucking bizarre. Like, both of the leads in this movie are Oscar caliber actors, but they're not giving Oscar caliber performances here. They're really not.
No.
I mean,
like, Pat Morita is basically playing a caricature of Mr. Miyagi in this fucking movie.
Yeah. Look, I love Pat Morita as well. I think off mic, I described him as an international treasure. So like, I love Pat Morita, always have, always will. The man was a, just by all accounts, just incredibly sweet man. This is not his best work. Again, I still like him, and this is like, I have so much goodwill for Pat Morita. It extends into this movie, but
yeah,
I think the problem is not so much he and Swank, so much as it is the script for this movie is let me see.
It's 100% the fucking script. This
it's
script,
bad.
If you had it in the room with you, you would have to hold your nose because it smells so fucking bad. It's one of the worst scripts that I've ever seen put to film.
Yeah. This is Hilary Swank's second movie ever, and her first lead role. Do you know what her first movie ever was? First theatrically released film?
I feel like I do, but I can't think. When you say it, I'm gonna be like, "Damn, I knew that."
It is another
But I
movie
can't
we
think of
could
it.
potentially cover on this podcast, but probably won't due to the obvious associations with someone who has recently come to be revealed as a terrible person. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. 1992's Buffy
Oh,
the
she is in
Vampire
that.
Slayer.
Yes. Yes, I like that movie. And I like that show. And Joss Whedon can go fuck himself. It's not going to keep me from enjoying it.
He
And there's
can.
someone else that's going to keep me from enjoying the show. Not Joss Whedon. Steven knows who the fuck I'm talking about.
Sure do.
That's all we're going to say. JP Leck knows who the fuck I'm talking about.
Yep.
The rest of y'all just have to guess.
I'm not saying a fucking word, dude.
That motherfucker can suck a fuck.
I'm sure he probably has.
Probably does regularly.
Yep. Anyway. Next, Karate Kid. Yeah.
Anyway,
this is her, like, there are a couple TV movies in there, but like theatrically released films. This is the second one she was in, and her first starring role. And for better or worse, her break. This is like her big break. And after this, she starts landing more roles. But yeah, no, again, wild. Like, this movie has so few like name actors in it. Like, you've got your big three and then our boy Walt. And like, that's about it. Like, in terms of like people who kind of broke out and made it big. I mean, there are some other people, like just working actors, like Constance Towers, Chris Conrad, Sonny Trinidad, like fine actors, but not anyone that you're going to be like, oh yeah, Sonny Trinidad's in this movie. Like, that's probably really disrespectful to Sonny Trinidad, and I'm sorry.
I'm sure Sonny Trinidad is a lovely person, but in the context of this movie, fuck off.
Yeah, he passed away in 2003.
That's basically what we're saying. Oh, R.I.P. But fuck off in this movie.
And he's also in future episode of this podcast, The Shadow, 1994's Alec Baldwin film, The Shadow.
When are we doing that? Because I have been waiting since that movie came out. I've been waiting to see it. But I always have an excuse not to. But I still really want to see it. So when are we doing that?
I want to pencil it in as a theme month with some other pulp hero movies, like the maybe a couple of those Lone Ranger movies.
Sure. Like you do.
Like I do. You know how I like to do. I'm looking at the schedule here, and we've got so many like months where there's like one or two things that would keep us from doing a full theme month.
See, and we should have saved Green Hornet and Phantom for that month, but then we had that 89 Batman inspired shit.
Yeah.
Like, the studios didn't know what part they were supposed to take from that.
Exactly.
And they got it completely
Which
wrong.
is the funniest fucking thing to me. We did. Yeah. We did.
I know.
Well, and we had
Tracy?
Green Lantern was, I think, on the schedule. And then we did I think we did Green Hornet right after it because they're two green superheroes, I think was our rationale, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, yeah, you're right.
Michelle Gondry.
There are some that we probably should have said. Yeah, we did Mystery Men, Green Lantern, Green Hornet, and we closed out that month with Detention. It was TMNT, Mystery Men, Green Lantern, Green Hornet. So I think we kind of like fell backwards into like a comic book movie, but
a double half theme month.
Yes. Double half, exactly. But yeah, I want to do that as a theme month. The first available theme month that I have right now outside of an October, because we don't have anything on the schedule for this October.
Oh, but that's spooky month. We gotta do some shit for that.
Exactly. You know what we could do? We can talk about this off mic. This is not an on mic conversation, but we can fudge it. I can make it work.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Right on. Okay.
Sooner than later, please, because I still am just itching. I've been itching for like 25 years to watch The Shadow, man.
I mean, it's not that itchy.
I very easily could have watched it at any time.
You still can.
Is true.
You still can.
I still can.
To be fair. Nothing is stopping you from watching it.
It's always right below the last thing on my priority list for about 25, 30 years.
Yep.
It's been just right below that last thing. If I could just do one more thing, it would be watch The Shadow.
Here's the thing.
I can never do just one more thing.
That's exactly where it belongs on anyone's priority list, if I'm being real honest. But
I guess we'll see. I might fall in love with it. You know how I am.
I do know how you are. But then again, there are movies that I thought you would fall in love with that you absolutely hated, like Howard the Duck. So...
Well, Steven, I'm a complicated man.
You're something.
And no one understands me.
Appropriate spot to end
That's
that
all.
song. Yep. No, perfect.
Song over.
No
Song
notes.
over. Yeah.
No notes. None whatsoever. Anyway, we are here. We're supposedly here to talk about the next Karate Kid. You can see how excited we are to talk about this movie.
Man, fuck this movie.
Man, not a good movie. It's not a good movie. Is it better than some movies we watch for this podcast? Yes. Is it worse than most of them? Also, yes.
Look, is it better than Marmaduke? No.
Yes.
Did I enjoy it? Did I enjoy Marmaduke more? Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes, I did. Because at least it was stupid enough for me to be like, I cannot believe how fucking stupid this is, and that entertained me. This is not that stupid. It hovers right above it to where I just don't give a fuck, to the point to where I didn't watch the last 15 minutes because I just could not be bothered.
So you didn't see Michael Ironside blow up a fucking car?
Guess not.
Before challenging a teenage girl to a fight to the death on the docks.
I wish I wouldn't have let that knowledge out, because if I have to do the plot for 60, the end of it's going to be like, and then they go to a dance, the end.
That's where the movie should have ended. I will concede that. The movie should have ended at that fucking dance.
I felt like it was over. That's why I turned it off.
It felt.
I make my own endings.
It felt very over at that point. Look, this movie is almost 2 hours long, and there is no reason for it to be almost 2 hours long. None.
There's no reason for it to exist at all, Steven.
Yeah,
honestly.
Look, we're going to talk about all of that. And this is kind of one of those early examples of Hollywood trying to shove like sequels and spinoffs down our throat that we didn't really need. Not even one of the earliest ones, but one of them, like this comes out 10 years after the original. Like, we're really celebrating the 30th anniversary of the next Karate Kid. Like, it's a fucking bizarre object, honestly, this movie. Because it comes out 10 years later. There has not been a Karate Kid film since, when did 3 come out here? Since 89.
I'm going to say 88.
89.
Okay.
5 years.
1 year off.
Yeah, 1 year off. 5 years. And it's, again, like you mentioned kind of at the top, Ralph Macchio ages out. He's in his early 30s when they would have
had to call it the Karate Man,
right,
at that point.
And like
that doesn't have the same ring to it.
He comes out and basically says, "I did not want to be the Sylvester Stallone of Karate Kid movies. Like, he doesn't want this to be his Rocky or his Rambo." Despite the fact that he's now like working as Cobra Kai, but I think at the time he wanted to branch out and do different things. He'd been doing that for 5 years.
Because, well, outside of My Cousin Vinny, what this motherfucker do until Cobra Kai? I didn't see him in shit.
He was a part of the Broadway touring company of How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying.
Cool.
I saw that on TV and I was like, Ralph Macchio was in that? I mean,
he was probably rad in it. Like, good for him. Like, great. But like, as far as like when you're like, oh, I don't want to do the next sequel because I want to focus on doing other things in my career, and then there are no other things in your movie career.
Well, and
I
mean, but here's the thing: like, sometimes you have to stop doing the thing you're known for if you want to branch out, and that's a risk because this thing that you have in front of you, this is the easy money that will keep paying. But do you want to go to your grave only being known as Daniel LaRusso? And so I can sympathize. He's an artist. He's an actor. He wants to stretch beyond what he's known for and do other things, but sometimes that's successful and sometimes it's not. That's the risk that you have to take as an artist.
And I completely agree with everything you just said, Steven. But when you do that and you fail, so eventually, because you don't have any other option, you go back to the well that you pissed and shit in because you were too good for it all those years back.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of shows where your integrity's at, Joel Hodgson.
It also, I mean, look, it goes beyond that. It's also,
that's why I don't like those new MST3Ks, Steven. That's why I can't do it.
One of my 3 IMDb credits is the new MST3K, but
I can't look. Jonah's great. Everybody on the show is great. It's just I can't do Joel anymore. The way he exited that series
That's
and then to
fine.
come back to it like begging for money to
We're
make some more. It's like, okay,
we're gonna talk about it when
whatever.
we finally cover MST3K the movie.
Well, we're
Which
gonna talk about it next week actually because the show might come up. Just
potentially,
saying,
because we literally
chance,
have had a
mayhaps.
late stage reschedule.
That's true.
It because
Dee dee da.
shit do happen. But here are some things. I mean, but to your point, like Justin Timberlake did that shit. The Rock did that shit. Like very recently did that shit. Both of them. Like
Yep.
The Rock leaves professional wrestling. I'm too good for this. I'm a movie star now. When all the goodwill that he makes as an actor dries up with Black Adam, he's like, what do I do? Fuck it. I'll go back to wrestling because those people will accept me. Justin Timberlake, finally his career starts not going well. What does he do? He gets NSYNC back together to help his Trolls movie. Like, people do this when their brand needs a recharge. Fucking Ryan Reynolds has been playing the same role for 20 years, 30 years at this point.
Now look, Steven, if I could just take a few steps back to NSYNC. Now, like, I'm the one who said it, so obviously I agree with you that shows a kind of a lack of integrity or maybe a lack of foresight on the part of the person who does the thing where they're like, fuck you, I'm too good for you. Oh, looks like I'm not, I'm back. I will give Justin Timberlake a pass just because ever since the album Celebrity, I've been waiting for those boys to get back together and do something. Because Celebrity, even though I am not a boy band person, Celebrity by NSYNC is one of the best albums ever created by evolved humans. And that's a Tucker hot take right there. So enjoy that.
Well, bad. Here are some things that Ralph Macchio did in between My Cousin Vinny and Cobra Kai. He did a movie called Naked in New York. He did a straight-to-video sequel to The Secret of Nim called Timmy to the Rescue. He did an episode of the 1999 Outer Limits. He was in an episode of the TV show Chicken Soup for the Soul. He did an episode of Entourage, was in a movie called Beer League, a movie called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Undead. He was in an episode of Law and Order, Criminal Intent, 11 episodes of Ugly Betty. He did an episode of a TV show called The Whole Truth, a short film called The Ballad of Danko Jones. He was in the Hitchcock biopic Hitchcock, playing Joseph Stefano.
Wait, was that the one with Anthony Hopkins, or was that the other one?
Anthony Hopkins, Helen Mirren, and Scarlett Johansson. Was there another one?
I feel like there was another one that came out around the same time, but I
really?
could be wrong because I remember at the time those came out, I remember getting them confused and almost renting the wrong one.
Okay. He did 2 episodes of Psych. He was also in Psych the movie.
People love that fucking show.
They really do,
like,
man.
I don't know anybody like if you're a fan of that show, you're fucking in it for life.
Yeah.
The people who love that show fucking love that fucking show.
Uh-huh. And
it's one of them shows.
And he did a children's film called A Dog and Pony Show, an animated children's film. Oh, no, not animated. Sorry, not animated. Also starring Mae Whitman and Mira Sorvino. And a guy who looks like discount Rob Lowe, who's been tanned a little too hard.
Rob High.
I mean,
he
does look pretty high on something. Anyway,
Highe.
Highe, yes. But yeah, that's what Ralph Macchio's done. Like, and again, I know he's done some theater. Like, there are other ways for actors to work, but like, the Hollywood career wasn't really hitting for him after Karate Kid. I'm sure the way he hoped it would. You could say that for a lot of those Brat Packers, though, including the aforementioned Rob Lowe.
Yeah, but it's just really surprising because he does My Cousin Vinny, and that was, I mean, that's not just like a cult classic, but people liked it then. Like, I'm pretty sure it did at least decent at the box office. It did gangbusters on fucking cable.
Do you want me
Everybody watched that movie on cable.
Do you want me
please
to tell
me
you
how much My Cousin Vinny made?
Oh,
yes, please.
I'm getting it. My Cousin Vinny, I watched that one recently. Spoiler for an upcoming What Are We Watching? That movie flippin' rules. I fucking love that movie. My Cousin Vinny, okay, this is a little surprising. It only grossed $52.9 million worldwide.
Okay, on a budget of, though.
On a budget of, production budget, $11 million. So not too shabby.
Yeah, did all right.
We're not gonna get a My Cousin Vinny 2, though we should.
But see, what surprises me is that that film was so well received, and especially in hindsight, so well received.
Marissa Tomei won her fucking Oscar for that movie. Like, come on.
Well, and Joe Pesci and Marissa Tomei are obviously the stars of the show, but Ralph Macchio fucking brings it in that movie, dude.
You know who else
brings it? He is hilarious.
You know who I think is the undersung? I will not say unsung because I've been singing his praises ever since I saw the damn thing. But you know who I think
the judge guy?
Fred Gwynn, Herman motherfucking Munster.
Oh,
is so
a judge
fucking
from
perfect.
Pet Cemetery.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Sometimes dead is better.
Sometimes dad's better.
I'm sorry, Utes. Excuse me. Did you say Utes? Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. Youths. God, that movie rules. I love it.
I drive 10 miles and the accents change. The accents change from this to yep. In 10 miles.
Yeah, I believe it.
In the distance of 10 miles.
Look, American dialects are a weird fucking thing.
They really are.
Which is why, I don't know, every British person's Texas accent sounds weird. Because I don't know any Texans that actually sound like that. But that having been said, oh, the sky looks really weird outside Chicago. I'm sorry, that was a weird tangent. I just looked out my window and it's like red and orange, dude. It looks real pretty.
Yeah.
I got like a weird like magic hour tint in my room right now. It feels good.
It's right about dusk where you are.
Yeah, sure enough. But yeah, so but yeah, no, My Cousin Vinny fucking rules. And outside of the Karate Kid films, maybe the best thing Ralph Macchio's ever done. No, definitely the best, maybe including. I mean, he's also Johnny in The Outsiders in '83. That's before Karate Kid, but like a lot of his fellow,
you cut out. What did you say?
The Outsiders. Francis Ford Coppola's The Outsiders.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah,
Francis Ford Coppola's S.E. Hinton's The Outsiders.
For when you said the name of it, yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. The Outsiders. He's in that, but that's the year before Karate Kid. So, like, that doesn't count, at least in terms of what we're talking about here.
That was his big break.
It was.
That's how he got Karate Kid.
I was going to say, immediately off of that, he gets Karate Kid. Then he does Teachers, the TV movie Three Wishes of Billy Greer, the movie Crossroads, which I've heard he's really good in.
Oh, yes. You got... Is that on our schedule? Can we do that? Am I going to have to do it as a straight up?
It may be. It's a Walter Hill movie. You know how I feel. You know how I feel about Walter Hill.
I do, because outside of like guitar players, because every guitar player has watched that movie and we all love it.
Mm-hmm.
And outside of guitar players, like nobody really knows about it.
Yeah.
If you say Crossroads, they think you're talking about Britney Spears, man.
Or you know, I
not
would just
one
be
of
like
the best. Go ahead.
I would say I would.
We're a little out of sync. So
we're
like sometimes
there's some lag. Yeah.
I'm gonna fix it in the edit because I don't know if you know this, but I've been taking a lot more time with the edits recently.
I do know,
which is why the episode was so late last week because I was editing until like 2 a.m. I started at like 8 o'clock.
And Zencaster also was pissing you the fuck off, as I recall.
And look, my buddy Marv has never seen me that mad because he was there when that was happening, and I'm just sitting there staring at Zencaster. Just staring at it, and there's no obvious way to do the thing that I always do every week. They changed it so much, it's not even called the same thing. So, like, what I need to do is hit new and then episode, right? New episode, right? You know how I got to that?
Mm-mm.
The button I pushed to make a new episode said neither new or episode.
What did it say instead, Tucker?
It was a process of elimination, trial and error. I eventually found it. It was like something like I hit edit a session or something. And then I just randomly hit some other button and it took me to the screen I knew. And I was like, okay, Now I know where I am. I can upload this fucking podcast 3 hours late.
You were cursing like
Livid.
God and
Livid.
everybody in the group chat. Like you were like Gary Sinise on top of the mast in Forrest Gump screaming at the hurricane in that group chat, man.
Because I had spent so much time editing it, right? I was already late, but it was worth it because I had spent so much time editing it. And then I don't run into a hurdle, Steven. I run into a fucking brick wall.
Right.
A brick wall.
I understand.
I can't go any further. I can't do the thing I need to do because they changed. I almost started a chat with them. I almost started the chat to be like, hey, dog, hey. But, like, especially late at night, it takes them a while to get back to you. And I had to do campground shit.
Right.
Because I edit this podcast while I'm working my other job. I sit down on the porch of the store and just edit, sitting there waving people as they drive by.
This is some real inside baseball shit. I don't know if anyone cares. This is content for you and I, not anyone else.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I need people to know my struggle, dude, because like I've always been pretty loosey goosey about this podcast because it works really well that way.
Mm-hmm.
But the last couple weeks, I've been using some new techniques to really make it sound polished and like honestly easier to listen to. And I think it's a positive thing. I don't know if you've listened to any of it, but it's so much more cohesive. Like we are talking over each other, but we're not because I fix it.
Nice.
I fix it.
That's why you're the best in the biz.
Dude, I am now. I never thought that before, but now I can't stop patting myself on the back.
We know this is the second episode in a row you brought it up.
I'm about to offer my services. You know, podcast editors make about $42,000 a year. I looked that up. No, I did.
Apropos of nothing at all.
$32 an hour, Steven.
We have to make that much money in order to pay you that much money.
Can you imagine how in debt you would be if you paid me $32 an hour to work on this podcast?
Yes, I can.
You would never climb out of that debt, Steven.
No.
Never.
Which is why I'm not going to start now.
No, what I meant was like, since I'm on this podcast, obviously it's free until we become so rich that everyone can be paid.
Correct.
But like, I thought about maybe like putting myself out there to see if, I could do kind of as a side gig, edit some podcasts.
Nice.
So I'm kind of thinking about putting together sort of a demo reel to where I sort of put the podcast before I do a deep dive into it, where it just sounds okay. And then an example of when I go in and cut out the overlaps, but still make it like cohesive, because I kind of feel like I've really, really hit on something here, Steve. And I feel like I could kind of maybe do this professionally if I master this thing that I've just discovered.
I would love that for you, man. I would love for you to be able to have that as a career.
Me too, because I love doing it.
I was going to say, like, I know how much you enjoy it. Like, so that would
That's
be
why
great.
I do it for free.
I know.
Because I love doing it.
I know you do, man. And look, we
scratches that audio editing muscle.
As the podcasters who've been reaping the benefits of that for the last few years, thank you for your service.
I offered. You didn't ask me, so
that's
like,
you
don't have.
We didn't ask you. You were just like,
I was like, hey, can I take on this really labor intensive thing and just like straight up do it for free for you guys?
I don't want to say you guys are doing it bad, but you guys are really not good at this.
No, that's seriously why I emailed you the first time. I was like, this podcast is so good, but I could make it at least not sound like garbage.
And look, we appreciate it not sounding like garbage. Thank you for your
assistance. As a fan, it was a selfish thing because I just wanted to make it easier for me to listen to.
And look, there is and again, no shade to Brett, who was editing prior. No. He does not have the audio training that Tucker does. And I edited a few episodes when Tucker was out of commission for a while and Brett wasn't able to.
Fine.
And
they're not bad, you guys.
They're not great.
Fine. They're definitely listenable.
They're not great, but they're not bad. I even added in like a sound effect at one point. Like, that was a thing I did. Didn't think I could do that. But like, no, do we definitely, is it definitely better now? Is it a marked improvement? Yes. And continues to get better. Dude. And it is all thanks to Tucker.
I am leveling up. Okay, the last 2 years I've been building up XP, and now I'm leveling up to like a level 3 podcast editor.
That's right.
Yeah.
Tucker cut all this out.
Exciting. I will not.
No, I didn't think
I will edit the overlaps. but I will not cut it out.
We're talking about how great you are. Of course you're going to leave that in.
Yeah. Let's do that for another hour and then just forget that we came here to talk about the next Karate
The
Kid.
next Karate Kid. That's what we came here to talk about. Thank you for reminding me, Tucker.
You know what else is really cool about me?
How much you love the next Karate Kid?
No, I fucking hate this movie, Steven. This is terrible. Are you kidding me?
This movie is directed by the man who directed Young Guns. How dare you, sir?
How dare he?
I'm like, I know the name Christopher Kane from something. Like, I know I've seen that name before. And he was the director of Young Guns and nothing else I've ever seen. Although he did direct the really bizarre Lethal Weapon spinoff, Gone Fishing, with Danny Glover and Joe Pesci.
It's Joe Pesci, yeah.
That's like one of those in the vein of The Bucket List.
Well, you know, Grumpy Old Men hit, and then there were about 5 other like old movie people we like doing buddy comedies about old people.
Yeah,
and then it kind of spun off into like you got the more serious actors in there, so they became more dramedies.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's come full circle, and now it's the old guys do thing that is ridiculous for old guys to be doing, like old guys in Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Old guys on a boat. Or like old guys in France.
They do the old you get that run of old guy action movies with like Red 2.
Yeah.
Like you got
Bad
those,
Grandpa.
Bad Grandpa. But I mean,
what's the one with fucking goddamn Danny Trejo? There's like 3 of them.
Machete?
No, not Machete. I'm still waiting for the 3rd movie in that.
Same.
I want to see him go to space with Mel Gibson.
Yes.
Man. Mel Gibson, as like, fuck him for being all anti-Semitic and shit. But boy, you get that man in the right movie, I believe everything he does. And it's so absurd that I believe everything he does in Machete Kills. So absurd. Like when I'm watching it, it makes sense. But when I look back, I'm like, am I stupid?
The man has done so much work. The man does not say no to anything. Literally, if he can do it, he will. That's why he's been in more Muppet projects than anyone else, like any other non-Muppet performer.
Because Muppets are rad.
Also that. But no, I mean, that is 100%. Danny Trejo will be in an upcoming episode of this podcast coming before the end of the summer. That I can promise you.
You got Trejo? How much we paying him?
I mean, not the actual actor. He'll be in a movie we're covering. Sorry. Should have clarified.
Oh, I see. Okay. I thought we were getting him on.
I mean, he'd probably do it if we could meet his quote. We're just not big enough to meet his quote.
How much he on Cameo?
I don't know.
Is he on Cameo? But he's on Cameo.
I'm sure he's on Cameo. Again, the man says no to nothing. Have we talked about Cameo, getting cameos before? Yes. Are we probably going to do it one day? Also, yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. I can't wait. I'm trying to see how much he is. I don't know how this site works.
He's on the TV show American Gods.
Here,
oh, of course he is. That's not surprising at all. I mean, that's just it. Like, I don't know how to even find what movies you're talking about because Danny Trejo he works all the time. Like, he is never not working. Him and Samuel L. Jackson just keep making movies. Like, all the time, always making something.
They never stop.
So I can't even tell you what thing it is that you're talking about because I don't know. I really don't know. Like, and he said, like, if I can do it, I'll do it. Like, if it works in my schedule, I'll do it. He's like, what people ask me to do, I'll do. Like, he's in both of the.
Some people just love to work.
He's in both of the recent Muppet movies, The Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted. He's also in Muppet Haunted House and Muppet Mayhem. Yeah.
You mean Haunted Mansion?
Yes, that's the one I meant. But he's done 4 Muppet projects, like the last 4, and he was on the show Muppets Now, where he does a cook-off with the Swedish chef making mole sauce.
Was that good?
It was okay.
Because it seems like one of those shows that was real good, but nobody understood it, and I would like it because I would understand it. It's them trying to do Muppets in a modern context, but in a much smarter way than the ABC show. in a classic style in a modern context?
It's
Like before they got all kidified?
they're doing the Muppet Show, but they're doing it on like as like a YouTube channel with like lots of
Yeah.
different
Classic style,
right.
modern context.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's still fairly kidified, but like
Boo.
it's not Sesame Street though.
Which one are we talking about? We talking about
Muppets
Tonight?
Now. No, Muppets Now. Muppets Tonight
do
was
you
the one in
remember
the
Muppets
90s.
Tonight,
Of course I remember Muppets Tonight. Come on.
That was when they were trying to do maybe a semi-adult sort of thing, and I really fucking appreciated it.
If you're a human being, take a break from the race. Yeah, of course I know that theme song.
Oh, it's the purple guy?
Clifford.
Did they ever bring the purple guy back?
No.
Has he been back since that show?
Do you know why? Do you know who voices him?
Why? Who?
Kevin Clash.
Yeah, so
and they're not going to recast him. I mean, you can't do without Elmo, but you can do without Clifford because not many people have a soft spot for Clifford.
I do.
I know you do.
I don't care. Get somebody else. People move on. That's how Muppets work, man. It's like cartoons, man. People move on. Somebody takes over. Whatever. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's do it. Bring back Clifford.
Here's the issue, though, is that people got so attached to the original Muppets. Like the original conceit, as Jim Henson conceived it, was that Muppets would come in waves. As new performers came on, they would introduce their own characters, and
that is interesting.
The original characters would start to phase out. Like that was the original concept. And the Muppets got so big when they started getting more and more Muppet performers. But so many, with the exception of like the legacy characters, like when Henson died, they had like Kermit was supposed to take a backseat. Rolf was supposed to retire outright. But you can't have the Muppets without Kermit. So Steve Whitmire, who up to that point, he was part of the original Muppet Show, but like his characters were like Bean Bunny, Rizzo the Rat, like second gen. He's like the first of the second gen Muppet guys. Then you get like guys like Bill Barretta, who does Bobo the Bear, my least favorite, Pepe the King Prawn, who is my least favorite Muppet. Like those guys start to come on, but there's still that soft spot for the guys voiced by Jerry Nelson and Frank Oz and Dave Goelz.
Do you know why the prawn guy is the worst? Because he took the spotlight away from Rizzo. Like the prawn, Pepe the Prawn is not a bad character. But the fact that he was, for some reason, a replacement for Rizzo? Like, can they not coexist?
So here's what happens. He is brought in... I think from what I understand, and I could be very wrong about this, Muppet fans, please do not come at me. I love the Muppets, but I am not deep into the lore, so please forgive me. I love that
this is what we're talking about because this fucking movie fucking sucks.
Look, man,
anyway.
I don't even know what I'm going to put on the show notes. Watch us talk about anything but this movie.
Yes.
We have to talk about it at some point, Tucker. We have to.
Maybe. We'll do the plot in the last 5 minutes. And then
We've done it before.
Let's do it. Tell me about the prawn.
He's paired up. He and I think there was like an elephant character are like this kind of mismatched chef team in Muppets Tonight. Like that's who the original pairing was, and he was apparently very well liked. That character. I don't understand why. I didn't much care for him, but he started to make more appearances in things. And Steve Whitmire then falls out of, and there's probably a lot of interstitial stuff that I'm missing. Steve Whitmire, eventually after, I want to say after the Muppets movie, and I could be wrong about this, Steve Whitmire has actually written and spoken about this quite a bit, and I don't have all the details, basically falls out of favor with the Henson family and gets fired by Disney after Disney buys the Muppets. The last Muppet thing he works on is the Muppet TV show. And I think it's because he's actually, the Muppets TV show that comes out in 2015 to 2016. It's the last Muppet project he works on. He is basically the guy who's like, this is not what Jim Henson would have wanted. This is not what the Muppets were. He basically gets fired for standing up for the legacy of Henson and the Muppets. And Disney's like, fuck you, you're gone. And basically, like, someone at Disney poisons the Henson family against him, he's out, is the way he tells it, from my understanding. So Rizzo is his character. And Rizzo is not a big enough character that another performer is going to come in and perform. So Rizzo now is functionally out, and Pepe, as the other small, goofy character, is kept in.
Look, and that is a damn shame.
Gonzo continues to grow in prominence, which I love, because Dave Goelz is like the guy who's still around. Like Frank Oz won't do it anymore. Jerry Nelson's passed away.
He's so old.
Like
he's so old.
I look, I love Gonzo. He's one of my favorite Muppets, but like, I mean, but the attachment to the original Muppets is why we haven't seen like an influx of new different Muppets, because none of those, no one really gives them a chance, which I find really frustrating.
Look, for me, it's frustrating for me because I can be of both minds, and I wish everybody else could. Can we keep the old guys around, but bring me Clifford? You know, give me more Clifford, man. And like you were saying before about Rizzo, I was saying it's a damn shame that all of that happened, because Gonzo's great, but Gonzo and Rizzo are the best pair.
They're good.
Of any Muppet pair.
Yeah.
They're not the best Muppets, but they are the best pair. Gonzo and Rizzo together, they're the chorus in the Christmas Carol, and they make it work, and I cry.
I was going to say, I think that was the first time they had been explicitly paired together. And it worked so well that they just became a team going forward. Like, I think is how that works. Because they do it again in Muppet Treasure Island. They're just like, well, we'll give these guys functionally the exact same role in this movie too. And Muppets from Space is kind of, we did an entire episode on Muppets from Space. Go listen to our episode on Muppets from Space.
It's fine.
Yeah, not my favorite by any means.
Could be better.
But there is a movie we watched this week called The Next Karate Kid.
Damn.
Bringing it back.
I had this science teacher, Steven.
You know who else?
I had this science teacher that that our trick was, if we could get him talking about like current events or anything else, we wouldn't learn shit.
No, I had teachers like that as well.
And he'd be like, well, guys, we're going to learn about, somebody would raise their hand and they'd be like, hey, how come you wore a blue tie today, Mr. Science Teacher guy? And he just, this man loved to talk. He loved to tell you about himself. And we could go whole weeks without learning shit. And that's what I'm doing to you right now, Steven.
I know. I had a Bible teacher like that. I remember one day the girl who was, had the reputation in my class raised her hand and goes, I don't understand why sex before marriage is wrong. 2 weeks we spent on that. 2 weeks.
Yes. Brilliant. And you all bought her, you got a card and signed it and gave it to her at the end of the 2 weeks. Thank you for your service, the entire class.
And every time I would try it, I'd get a one-word answer and he'd move on. So I was like, damn, I need to be more promiscuous. That's my problem.
Yeah. There you go.
Anyway.
You got shown enough ankles, Steven.
Something.
That's what it is.
Anyway, we are here to talk about The Next Karate Kid. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Let's do the plot. For those of you who don't know, this is the part of the show where we, at the behest of the Coin of Justice, recount the plot of the film that we are watching in 60 seconds or less. And I do, Tucker, happen to have the Coin of Justice right here.
Sweet.
I'm going to flip it. You're going to call it.
Sure. Tails.
Hang on. It didn't actually flip. It just went up and fell.
Fuck a duck.
There we go.
Tails.
It is heads.
All right, well, this is going to be a collaboration then, because after I say, and then they went to the dance, Steven, you're going to have to fill in the blanks after that.
I already told you what happened in that part. Were you paying attention?
But are you ready to collaborate, though? Are you okay to collaborate on this?
We'll see.
Come on, let's do it together. Let's be friends.
We'll see.
When I'm telling you, I don't need your help till I get to the dance. That's all. I got the rest of it, okay? Are you ready?
I got 60 seconds on the clock. I'll give you the 30 and 10-second warnings, as I usually do. Your time starts when you do, sir.
Okay, so Mr. Miyagi goes to this thing. I guess he lives with Daniel. Is he living with Daniel at this point and he's on vacation? Or is he just saying he lived with him in the past? I don't know. Anyway, Mr. Miyagi goes to this thing honoring Japanese people who fought in World War II. And I love in that scene where the guy's like, Japanese people were straight up in internment camps, but we were out fighting. And that's all he says. He doesn't and say, and this is why, or and we forgive or whatever. He's just he just brings that up. So anyway, Mr. Miyagi goes to this lady's house who's the wife or the widow of the white guy he served with. and her granddaughter is being a punk ass bitch, like because she's sad that her parents died. And so Mr. Miyagi takes her to a monastery and
10
teaches her straight
seconds.
up karate. And then they go to a dance.
Michael Ironside blows up a car and challenges a teenager to a fight to the death.
Fuck yeah, dude. And time.
Yeah, it is time. Yeah.
We did it. High five, Steven. Bam.
That was something. God.
I was vamping because I didn't care about the plot. I was just trying to hit even just the most basic part.
I mean,
while still like drilling on the shit that annoyed me.
So do you know who that guy at the beginning who was speaking was?
Nah, who dat?
That is a cameo from United States Senator from Hawaii, Daniel Inouye.
Oh, sweet.
Inouye, who was
like a real World War II veteran.
Yeah, an Asian senator. So
that's rad.
Like, yeah, rad as hell.
Pretty rad.
And yeah,
still a dumb scene, but real rad that he was there.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of it feels a little it feels like it's supposed it feels very hand wavy.
But like, what are they saying? What are they even saying? Because that's all they do is they're like, well, you know, my friends and my family were all in straight up internment camps, and I was fighting for the government that was, you know, in keeping them in internment camps. Okay, moving on.
It's that 90s thing of we want to bring it up and we want to create awareness, but not gonna offend anybody.
We don't need opinions. We don't need opinions on it. We're just gonna state the facts and move on.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
And that very much feels it's that kind of thing.
I yelled at the screen when I watched this, and then it just moved on. I'm like, okay, all right, well, fuck me, I guess.
I mean, this feels like the kind of thing that like George Takei would have been like, I mean, we could go further, guys. Can we not go further? Like, why aren't we going further?
Like, a couple more sentences. I don't know.
Because George Takei has talked about his life in internment camps been talking about it for a long time. Dude. At a time when it was not like a popular thing to discuss. He was like,
he kind of brought it into people are aware of it because of George Takei. Like, because I'm gonna tell you, man, I went to school in the 90s. I didn't know about that shit until I was an adult.
There's a ton of shit that we didn't learn about in school. Like the Tulsa riots, like didn't learn about that in school. Like there's all this shit.
Watchmen.
Yeah.
I appreciate
there's all the shit that we're like, how did we not know about this? And it's because white people have been telling the history for a long time. And if you're trying to make America look like the heroes of the world, you can't be talking about shit like World War II internment camps and the Tulsa riots.
And see, that's the worst part, because that's how you don't learn from your past.
Correct.
Because if you're more concerned about looking good or looking powerful, instead of having some accountability for the past and learning from it and changing, like that's what you should be getting out of that. That's why I don't know why I'm saying, everybody knows this. Any sane person knows what I'm saying right now. I don't know why I'm ranting about it. Anyway.
Well, no, but I mean, that's the reason that we have MAGA, right? Is because shit like that falls through the cracks. People don't know. And it's like, well, I didn't learn about it in school, so it never happened. Like there are people who are like that, and people who would rather embrace American exceptionism at all costs. So, I mean, there it is. Please don't die. Please don't die doing shots on this podcast.
Look, my body hates all of the things I put inside of it. Like,
I believe it.
I have had asthma since I was in middle school, but I have also, so ashamed to admit this, but I have also smoked cigarettes since I was 14 years old.
This I knew.
I'm not proud of it, but it's something that I do. But my I still cough. Like when I smoke weed, anybody I know that smokes weed, they will tell you that no one coughs as much as I do. And it's the same with liquor. Like I have like the most sensitive gag reflex, Steven, and my throat does not like liquor. So I've had to like train myself to not like inhale liquor into my lungs every time I take a shot. That's uncomfortable. You ever done that, Steven?
Unfortunately, yes.
You just can't breathe for a while.
Right.
You're pretty sure you're going to suffocate and die.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually you're able to breathe again. Ooh, that's nasty, getting alcohol in the lungs. But anyway, yeah, my body, like the things I want to do to my body, like drink and smoke, my body is not for it. But I do it anyway. Because
Fair
I'm a
enough.
bad person, probably.
Yeah. I mean, we all do things we probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I mean, for some of us, those some of those habits come a calling, come a reckoning. There will come a day of reckoning, and I mean, I'm fortunately living proof of that. But yeah,
Dude, you got another chance though, Steven. Let's do it.
for reasons you know and most people listening don't. But yeah,
Let's quit smoking, Steven. Let's do it.
already done,
You and
man.
me.
Already done.
Well, and that's why it's so easy. That's why it should be pretty easy for you to agree to quit smoking. Then let's do it together, Steven. Accountability. Let's do it.
Already done, man. Right on.
Nice. All right.
Anyway,
I'm accountable now.
Do you know who they originally wanted to play Mr. Miyagi in the first Karate Kid film?
Oh,
I'll give you a hint. It's the same person that George Lucas wanted to play Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Is it the guy that he was on CBS Sunday Morning and he's in every movie? He's in Big Trouble in Little China and the Twilight Zone episode where the world. Have you seen that Twilight Zone episode, Steven? Because they banned it, but you can get. I have the DVD.
The one with James Hong?
Well, no, with it's actually, is it George Takei or is it James Hong?
James Hong is the one in Big Trouble in Little China.
Okay. Yeah, well, I kind of got off on a little. I went in another direction and didn't inform everyone because it happened in my head. I apologize for that. But there's this Twilight Zone episode where like the Japanese guy is a delivery guy, right? And he's delivering something to this World War II veterans house, and the World War II veteran's very racist against Japanese people, and he comes up to deliver it to him in his attic, and the attic door gets stuck, so they get stuck in there together, and they have to like work through their fucking issues with each other, and it's rad as shit. Have you seen that, Steven?
I haven't, no, but I love the Twilight Zone.
It's so good.
But no, it was not James Hong.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was George Takei in that. And I realized that as soon as I said that.
Takei rhymes with
Same
gay.
thing. Yeah, but, you know, before anybody knew how it was pronounced, we said it Takei.
I know,
so
but now we know better, and so
back into that.
we...
I'm working to be better, Steven. Bear with me. As I grow as a human.
He made T-shirts that said, after he came out, that said it's okay to be Takei, and they had like little rainbows all over them. And it's great. I love it. Happy Pride, everybody.
That's fun. Yeah, for sure.
No, they wanted Toshiro Mifune from like all those Akira Kurosawa films, like The Seven Samurai, Rashomon, Yojimbo, Hidden Fortress. The problem is the same problem George Lucas ran into when he tried to cast him in Star Wars. Motherfucker didn't speak English.
Well,
so
that's how it goes sometimes.
Like they couldn't cast him. Pat Morita auditions, but they don't like him because the only role they've ever seen him in is Arnold from Happy Days. And so the producers...
Because they didn't look eye, Steven. They didn't look eye. Always look eye.
They wanted a... what is it? They wanted... they didn't want him because they saw him only as a comedic actor. So he had to screen test 5 times before he actually got it. And he only got it because he grew a beard and made himself sound like his uncle. Basically made himself sound, more stereotypically Asian.
Ethnic.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, they actually wanted him to go by Noriyuki Pat Morita in order to make him, even though he'd been Pat Morita for years, because his given name sounded more ethnic. Like, gotta fucking love Hollywood, man. But I mean, he is Oscar nominated for playing this role in the first Karate Kid film. This is his last time playing it. And
he get nominated for an Oscar for the first Karate Kid? Are you kidding me?
Yes, that's why I said this movie comes 10 years out. Yeah.
I wouldn't expect the Academy to recognize a popcorn film like Karate Kid.
Well, but again,
I agree.
That's kind of the magic of Hollywood in the 80s, though, is you also have like you're more likely to win or get nominated for something a little weirder. Like Kevin Kline wins for A Fish Called Wanda. Like that's a fucking wild.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Right, that's a thing that happened in the 80s. But who won Best Supporting Actor
Oh,
in? Oh, it was Heinz Knorr for The Killing Fields.
oh, nice.
And nominated also off of Adolf Caesar for A Soldier Story, John Malkovich for Places in the Heart, and Ralph Richardson for, oh God, future episode of this podcast, cast Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes.
I don't know what the fuck you just said, little kid. But I trust you.
That's when we could. That is the Christopher Lambert Tarzan movie.
Oh, we say Christopher Lambert, I'm there. Like, sign me up.
Yeah, I had a feeling you might
For
be.
sure.
Written by the guy who wrote Chinatown. It's a 2.5 hour long Tarzan movie.
Steven, Chinatown has been in the back of my mind for about 3 months now. And here pretty soon, I'm going to watch it. And I used to have that and The Two Jakes. Little known actual for real sequel to Chinatown, The Two Jakes.
Directed by Jack Nicholson himself.
Yes. I used to have both of those on VHS. Those were some of the first like real movies that I owned as a kid. I was probably 16 years old and I bought those motherfuckers on VHS. And Chinatown, like, what the fuck? How do you make a movie as good as Chinatown? How is that even possible?
That you are just a vocal fan of The Two Jakes is maybe one of the least surprising revelations I've ever heard. Legitimately.
Look, I get it's not Chinatown, like by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
But The Two Jakes it's something, and it's something worth watching. I don't know if it's good, I don't know if it's bad, but it's something worth watching because I don't even know how to describe it. I don't even know how. But yeah, Chinatown.
I've seen the first and third movies in that trilogy, but not The Two Jakes. The Two Jakes is the only one in that trilogy I've not seen.
There's a third?
Yeah, it's called Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, you silly bastard. Get out of here, Steven.
No, because I mean, they're all three of those movies are about like the evolution of Los Angeles and like through various public works. And the third is the rail line, which is what Roger Rabbit's about.
Yeah, and I would say that it's definitely like you could call that like an unintentional trilogy for sure.
Yeah.
Because you change a few things and like throw in a few references to a few characters in Roger Rabbit, and no matter how silly it is, you can connect it to this other.
Absolutely. Like Eddie Valiant is like a lateral move from Jake Gittes. It's Bob Hoskins basically doing Jake Gittes, and I think it works.
I'm saying thank you for bringing that connection to my attention, because I will now forever consider that a trilogy. And I cannot wait to watch them back to back.
We bring it up I bring it up in the Who Framed Roger Rabbit episode with our friend Michelle Egan, and both Brett and she were not having it. They were like, no. So I'm glad you're at least on board for that.
I'm way into it, actually. And I'm way into, I'd like to make a day out of it, honestly, watching all three films.
You should.
Because not only do I love Chinatown, and The Two Jakes intrigues me, I guess is the word to use, how I feel about it. But to throw Roger Rabbit into that mix, especially as the third film, I'd be really interested in taking that cinematic trilogy journey for sure.
It'd be a good time.
And day out of it.
And you know what? Speaking of movies that you really tried to distract your way through without talking about, Michael Ironside's in this movie, just like he was in Total Recall, which we talked about earlier.
Yeah, he's been popping up a lot lately. Like Michael Ironside is really cool. But hey, Steven, you know what I was wondering? Like real hardcore wondering? I
want to talk about Michael Ironside. I'm coming back to Michael Ironside.
I'm wondering how well this movie did at the box office.
No,
Steven.
We're talking about Michael Ironside first, bitch. How dare you? How fucking dare?
Okay.
See, and you.
It's just we've talked about him so much in the last like month and a half.
Fair.
So much Michael Ironside.
But when
I love him. I love him.
Attention must be paid. Okay.
Agreed.
Attention must be paid.
I concede, Steven. Please, let's talk about Michael Ironside.
Like
and swiftly fucking crush this shit.
I fucking love Michael Ironside. I think he is a national treasure. He is fucking unhinged in this movie, and you didn't even see him at his most unhinged in this movie.
I didn't, but I will say that he is the only performance in this movie that I thought worked at all.
Really?
At all. He's the only performance in this movie where I was like, yeah, I hate that motherfucker, because I believe that he's that fucking grumpy, pissed off old bitch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I believe what he's throwing at me, and I hate that motherfucker.
Right. No,
He's the only emotional response in this movie is to that character.
yeah.
That's it.
He's the worst. He's the fucking worst. And it's that thing from the first Karate Kid where like you want to see that guy get his comeuppance, and instead he just gets like the little joke boop kind of treatment. Like Mr. Miyagi just kind of blows in his face.
He does. He says, "Hot." It's right there, like on his neck,
Yep.
and he says, "Worm."
Yep.
He says honk. Actually, he says honk.
Yeah.
But that's probably one of the best things that's ever been committed to cinema. Is like the recap, like in Karate Kid Part 2, where it expands on that, and he honks his nose.
Yeah.
That's brings the house down every time, Steven. No one will be seated when Mr. Miyagi honks Reese's nose.
But he does it again. He does the exact same thing here. Like after Michael Ironside basically like bitch slaps everybody in his entire like squad of Johnny Bravos. They're dressed exactly like Johnny Bravo without the sunglasses. Same haircuts and everything. It's fucking ridiculous. Like when they first enter the movie, like you just see basically they're introduced by their bulges because they're walking down a hallway and the doorway is like cutting off the top of their body. So it's like pretty much you're just seeing them from the waist down. So they're introduced into the movie by their bulges. And then they come in and you basically realize they're dressed like Nazi Johnny Bravos because they're dressed with the tight shirt and the jeans, but they've all got a patch on their arm, like a fucking Nazi uniform or something. And that's essentially what they are. They're Nazi Johnny Bravos. Because apparently this public high school is like has a fucking military for their security or something.
Yeah, they're known. Apparently, that's what the school is known for.
Right.
Is their fascist student enforced police force.
Not a thing that I think has existed literally anywhere else, but Michael Ironside is like the power behind the throne. He's got the principal in a chokehold by his nuts in a chokehold. Like,
yeah,
there is that man is completely ineffectual, and Michael Ironside runs everything. He should have gotten fired years ago for the way he treats those kids, and he doesn't.
Yeah.
Like it's absolutely abhorrent. But in the final scene, like he has his like army of Johnny Bravos basically kick the shit out of the boyfriend character. And
that poor kid.
Yeah, and no, what did
Sweet boy.
Literally, what did he ever do? Like nothing. This is like the only movie he's ever been in.
Well, no, I mean the character. He's just a nice guy. He's just a nice guy.
Yeah. Like, I mean, zero personality, but nice guy. Just like he's complete drip.
I do agree with you. I'm just saying that's what makes like the whole conflict more infuriating is these two people are literally just trying to live their lives, Steven. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all they're trying to do. They're not trying to like get in anybody's way or fuck with anybody or do anything. They are just trying to live their lives. And this weird fucking fascist military organization that's policing the school with its own students as the police are just fucking with them because they can. Just because they can.
Yeah.
No other reason.
And like
they're assholes.
Michael Ironside is doing fucking ride-alongs with the cops. Like with the actual legitimate cops. Like this
is like dystopian future shit.
Yes.
Like, it really, really is.
I mean, look, we all know that all like security guards really, and all security guards want to be cops and all cops want to be soldiers. That's the pipeline. So it makes sense that this guy who calls himself Colonel would like try to ingratiate, who basically is a glorified security guard, would be trying to ingratiate himself with the cops. Like it tracks. Like the whole fascist regime there helping itself, like very and propping itself up, very circular, like an Ouroboros on drugs. But yeah, like and so they're kicking the crap out of this kid. And then Miyagi and Julie show up, and Julie's like, well, fuck it, I'll fight you. And so the Ned kid like starts off, and she immediately sweeps the leg. Immediately fucking sweeps the leg.
Immediately takes him down.
She does, like without even any problem. And he like keeps trying to get up, and everyone's like goading him, and she just dismantles him like the just folds him like laundry. And he and so then Ironside starts like bullying everybody. He like puts Goggins in a chokehold and throws him at her, and he's like, no. Everyone starts backing away and running off, and he's like screaming at everyone to kill this girl, and Miyagi's like, okay, I'll fight you. And so it's like a very kind of brief thing that ends with Miyagi just, you know, blowing in his face and walking away. And then he delivers the final line, fighting not good, Julie, but if must fight, win. And then, you know, we get
that Bill Conti score comes in.
Yeah.
Who only good thing about this movie, that Bill Conti score, sweeps me away.
Pat Morita and Bill Conti, the two guys who were involved in all four of these movies. Like John G. Avildsen didn't come back for this one.
Fuck no, I wouldn't either. I'd tell them to go fuck themselves.
I'd tell them to go back and write a better script, honestly. Like,
yeah, like get away from me with that shit.
This script is again, it's silly, but not in a fun way silly. Like, it's complete. No. Like, the whole notion of the fascist like cop thing is inherently silly. It's a deeply silly thing. You could make
that very satirical and funny while still grounding it. This could have been like, it's not the ideas in this script that are bad. It's the execution
Correct.
Of them that are just amateurish,
at
derivative.
Best. Yes.
And just fucking garbage, or as they say up here, gabbage.
This is kind of one of those movies where they really wanted a new Karate Kid, but the guy who played the kid is too old. So this is a spinoff. I would call this a spinoff. I think we need to get into this because this is, you and I had this conversation like prior to recording, but I think we need to get into it on mic.
Sure.
Because I would call this a spinoff.
I have agreed with you on this.
You have.
And one of the reasons I've done some soul searching while we've been doing this episode privately in my heart of hearts. And I think this is a more than a reboot or a spinoff. It's more of a by the numbers sequel. You know what I mean when I say by the numbers sequel?
I do.
Like something like you're Back to the Future 2, where like it's a different circumstance, but you hit all the same notes. Something like Ghostbusters 2.
Pirates of the Caribbean 2.
Situation, you hit all the same notes because you know those are the notes that work. But what differentiates this film from those films is those films knew how to change it just enough to make it fresh. This movie, it can't get out of its own way.
No.
This movie. All it wants to do is be a new thing and just reference the original and all the beats in the original the entire time. And you can't do both at the same time, but if you're talented enough to do both at the same time, there has to be a balance. And this movie does not have it.
Right.
This is one of probably the most boring and just like this movie gives me anxiety. It's so bad. Like, I just want to turn it off the whole time. Not only because it's shitting on the legacy of some movies that I kind of like.
Right.
A little bit. But that it's right there. This movie should have been a fucking slam dunk. This should have been a lob. Like a softball pitch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just real easy and right down the middle. Fucking, how do you fuck up this movie?
Right.
How do you fuck it up?
Right.
But here it is, with every single part of it fucked up.
And again, I think it's the adherence to the original film and the structure of the original film specifically that really ends up bogging it down. Because, I mean, the only difference is that the lead is a girl. Like, oh my word.
Woman.
How can she do karate? She has a woman's figure. Right. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. I can't believe this.
Like, however will they respond down at the country club, Agnes?
The nerve.
If I had pearls, I would be clutching them.
Absolutely.
The absolute audacity. And it's that kind of a thing. Well, and it just, I don't know. Like, does it need to exist? No, it absolutely doesn't. But you can tell they absolutely want to try to recapture the magic and do something different enough where they can keep this momentum going. Like, look, we got three Karate Kid films in the 80s. Let's do 3 more in the 90s. you
3
know,
wasn't bad, but it certainly was not on the level that 1 and 2
and
were.
it's not this, right? So
No, this is gutter trash compared to any of the first 3 movies,
right,
even the one that's not that great.
exactly.
Like,
And so that's kind of where we're at now. Um,
mm,
and yeah, it's not successful. Apparently, Pat Morita had an idea for one final Karate Kid movie that he was really kind of solo trying to push up the hill right up until he
yeah.
died, which was going to be a dying Miyagi in on his deathbed, basically reaching out to Johnny Lawrence uh, from the first film.
Joey
No,
Lawrence.
no, no,
No,
no.
Joey Lawrence is the actor. Whoa!
Whoa, six.
You're right, I'm
Whoa.
sorry. I just I got Blossom to
He
do.
did. No, Johnny Lawrence, the Cobra Kai kid, William Zabka,
Yeah.
who's like
Right.
now a doctor and like kind of like teaching him like the right way to do karate, basically. Like that was Morita's pitch. He wanted to do it. And I think they used part of that for like an episode of Cobra Kai, from my understanding.
Well, and see, I think that honestly, if you put the idea of season 1 of Cobra Kai, which was fantastic, by the way. Like I said, I think I said this off mic, but I bailed on Cobra Kai after the big high school lobby fight with like 100 kids karate fighting in the
Are you
silliest, most
saying that
ridiculous
everybody was
fucking.
kung fu fighting? I'm sorry, no, that's karate. It's a different martial art. My apologies.
I mean, they were fast as lightning though,
Okay.
and it was a little bit frightening.
But did they
So
do it with expert timing?
they did,
Okay.
which is surprising because it's like 100 kids in this school just all doing karate at each other
Amazing how
in the
how
foyer.
Hollywood choreographers can make that stuff look good.
But that first season of Cobra Kai was very grounded, and
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
it was very much about Johnny's journey as like kind of a broken man, a man who has kind of lost everything and decides to go back to the well and maybe, start up a dojo. And it's a fantastic exploration of that character as an older person.
So you're telling me it
And
has pathos.
it does. It
Nice.
does. But after that first season they just kind of decided to throw reality and logic out the window, which is fine, whatever.
Who
Elizabeth
needs
Shue
that?
comes back. That's enough for me. So I would love to put those ideas together. If Pat Morita were still alive when Cobra Kai came out, that's what I would want to see. I would
Yes.
want to see him training Johnny then under those circumstances. I don't want to see him as a successful doctor. Fuck off. I want to see him as an alcoholic who can barely afford his fucking rent, doesn't know where his next paycheck is coming from, doesn't have any fucking friends because he's burned every bridge,
Narratively, that
and he's
works, I think.
literally at the rock bottom. It's exactly who he needs as Miyagi.
Yeah.
Exactly who he needs.
And that's 100% it. Like, but we,
Give me that.
unfortunately, Pat Morita no longer with us.
That's the damn
Passed away in 2005. Gone but not forgotten. And in fact, the creators of Cobra Kai have talked about wanting to get Hilary Swank on the show because she's technically part of what they call the Miyagi verse. So,
look, I support what they're doing with the show. I love that they're bringing back even like the obscure villain from Karate Kid 3 comes back in Cobra Kai.
nice.
Like, I respect all that. I respect what they're doing with it, but it's just not for me anymore. After the first season, it's just not for me.
It seems like it's leaning into its legacy sequel status, which a lot of these things do. They basically, you start out with something that has pathos and then you devolve very quickly into fan service. And that's my problem with most legacy sequels is eventually it's gonna lose the thing that made it seem very special at first. Looking at you, Book of Boba Fett. God, that whole show is just fan service.
Look at you, all the Star Wars that's come out in the last like 10 years.
I will not say all because I still stand The Last Jedi, but like a lot of it, yes. And
oh yeah, I like that Ryan Johnson one.
Of course
I like
you
that
do.
one for sure.
But
because it's Ryan Johnson,
right? You and I are standing alone on our pillars of anti-Star Wars hate in me, and our friend Hope. Like all three of us just fuck everyone else. Ryan Johnson.
Look, I got the tattoo, so
do.
like anything Ryan Johnson does, I'm obligated. obviously.
Right.
And luckily, he hasn't let me down because
Yeah.
everything he's done since Brick has been phenomenal.
Even his,
Brothers Bloom.
I was gonna say, even
And
his least successful
I like
film was
that
still
movie.
very good. Yeah.
It's so good, actually.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a sleeper.
It's kind
A
of good.
sleeper
Yeah.
hit, sort of, because it's real low key, but it's like super duper good.
It's still very fun though. Yeah, it is. It's very, very fun. I agree. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, like, and that again, I think that's kind of the problem. I'm curious about this upcoming Karate Kid film. Which is, I think, supposed to bring the original stuff together with the 2010 remake.
You're gonna have Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan.
Basically
dude.
playing Danny LaRusso and Mr. Chang.
So excited. Give me a Jaden Smith cameo, please. I'm gonna need that. At least maybe 30 seconds of your boy Jaden Smith. I don't know. I'd like to see it kind of, even though it does exist in this bigger universe, I would like to see it as kind of like a bottle thing. That's what I want out of that. I don't want it to be like weighed down with everything from Cobra Kai. I want it to be kind of, it's still in that universe, but I want it to very much be its own fucking thing.
Yeah. I said Mr. Chang. His character is apparently Mr. Han. I'm sorry. I saw Chang as I was looking on like a brief synopsis, so my apologies. I've not seen that movie.
That's all right, Steven. I know you're not racist. So it's a common mistake. People make that mistake. I'll edit this out. No, I won't. But I really need this to be a bottle thing because there's a good movie there, and I want to see it. So hopefully they make the good version
Right.
of what they're cooking up there.
Yeah, I again, we'll see. The proof is in the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So I guess we'll see when it comes out. It was supposed to come out later this year. It's been pushed back to, I think, next year. So guess we're not going to be covering the 2010 Karate Kid until sometime next year. So yeah,
Yeah,
but there
I'm
is.
into it.
You know who
I
else
can't
has got
wait
it
to
in?
see it.
Ming Na Wen. Love her. She's
Who
great.
dat?
Ming Na
dat?
Wen. She was
Who's she
in.
in?
She's the voice of Mulan. She's in Book of
Oh.
Boba Fett. She's in
Yep.
Agents of
I know who you're
Shield.
talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
She good.
She real
She
good.
good. Yeah,
We stand.
we do.
We do.
Hey, Steven, would it be too much or maybe too early to ask you to maybe tell us how well this movie
No,
did?
we're at a good point now. We can do that.
Yes.
Anyway, this movie comes out August 12th, 1994, and it does so poorly, Tucker. I feel I have to tell you this. It does not crack the top 10 for 5 weeks. It is in theaters. It doesn't even hit the top 15 in the week it comes out. So I have 2 box offices here I can go through if you permit me. One from the
both,
week the week it comes out, and another from the week it actually cracks the top 10. The first being August 12th, 1994. The second being September 9th, 1994. I have both. So the number 1 movie in America on August 12th is, in its second week, Clear and Present Danger.
Oh, people love that movie.
It's
That's
Jack Ryan, man.
Jack, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. If they ever do another, there are 2 of those Tom Clancy movies that we can absolutely cover on this podcast. We've covered one.
I've never had.
We can cover 2 more.
Look, I've never had any interest in them, so I've never explored them. But I have heard they're real fucking good.
Hunt
so
for Red October
bring
is
it.
a fucking masterpiece.
It is a boat movie, though. It's a submarine movie, which is even worse. So,
but you know what?
It's real good.
It's the best one. With a bullet, it's the best submarine movie.
Well, and Steven, my whole boat submarine movie thing is it's kind of a bit, kind of like your Kevin Costner, to where like you don't really have a reason to. It's just it's kind of funny, and you like to be sort of a contrarian about things.
Sure.
Like that's how I am with boat movies and submarine movies. If you show me something that fucking rips, I will not be too ashamed to be like, yeah, that fucking rips.
Yeah.
So please give me some Hunt for Red October. Let's do it.
Do I think Kevin Costner's made good movies? Yes, I do. Do I think he's the best thing about any of them? No, I don't. But yeah, like I'll look. Is The Untouchables a fucking great movie? Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Do I like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves? You bet your sweet bippy I do.
Sorry, I want to watch Untouchables right now. Bye, Steven.
It's so fucking good. Number 2.
Look, you have to never remind me that Untouchables exists because I was able to control myself then. But I could be weak next time and actually like end the session and go watch The Untouchables.
It's such a good movie, dude. I love it.
It's so good.
Brian motherfucking
So
De
good.
Palma, man.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
yeah. Just quietly cranking out great movies. Number 2 at the box office in its 6th week and making its way to like become the number 1 movie in the country and the Oscar winner for this year. See our previous episode on Forrest Gump.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In 3rd place, one of the 3 movies that this actor did in the span of 2 years that made him the highest paid actor in Hollywood. The second of
Dumb
3.
and Dumber?
Nope, that's the 3rd. The first, The Mask. The second is The Mask. The first is Ace Ventura.
That's what I said.
The second of them is The Mask, which has been in theaters for 3 weeks, coming in at number 3. In 4th
Somebody
place,
stop him.
Somebody, please. I mean, he's smoking. Someone needs to stop him from smoking. We've established that smoking is bad. On this very episode, we have established this.
Yes. We got real for a minute there. Yeah, that was rad.
For real, for real. In 4th place, The Little Rascals. Penelope Spheris' The Little Rascals.
That was a big deal. People liked that movie when it came out.
I loved that movie as a kid. When that movie came out, I had just turned 11 and for some reason really liked The Little Rascals.
There was a good run in the 90s where a lot of like older properties, anywhere from like the 70s to like the 30s, were getting these 90s updates that were just all fucking fantastic.
We can do a month
Addams
of those.
Family, fucking
the Beverly Hillbillies.
So
we can do
Hillbillies.
Penelope Spheris directed that one as well. In 5th place, another previous episode. It's at number 5. Was number 5 the previous week, and its 5th weekend at the box office. It's already made $112 million. Stars it's one of the last films from one of the biggest stars in the world, right before he decides to go into politics, directed by the one director who uses him better than anyone else, Arnold Schwarzenegger, James Cameron, True Lies.
There you go. Nice. Get your Jamie Lee Curtis in that too.
Fucking A. Eliza Dushku, Bill Paxton.
According to Randy, that's when she went.
No,
legit,
she went legit in Trading Places.
Trading Places. Yeah, you're right. Fuck. Edit that out, Tucker. Okay, I will.
No, you won't. Don't you fucking dare.
Maybe I will. It's gonna make me look better, so I probably will.
Yeah, that's how.
I'm all about making a fool out of you, Steven.
I know you are. Although at least now you generally will let me know if you're about to do it. You didn't used to.
No, that's true.
Rounding out the top 10 for this, we have in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Rounding out the top 10, we've got the new this week, the first new movie this week. Pauly Shore's In the Army Now, opening to $6.3 million.
I will defend Pauly Shore for specific performances, but In the Army Now, it's not one of them. It's not.
It shouldn't be.
I was so disappointed in that movie. He was on a good streak there for a while, and then he just fucking did it in the Army Now and ruined it.
I remember the trailer for that movie was him basically sitting down in the like everyone's getting the army cut, and he sits down and goes, "Just a little bit off the sides, please." And then they shave his head and he screams. Like they turn him around, and he faces and he screams. Like that was the trailer for that movie.
So clever.
And it's one of those like classic, like these guys in the army, like this guy in the army. Sergeant Bilko fucking did that. Delta Farce does that.
Stripes did that.
Stripes, like it's such a fucking like
look, it's a good trope if you do it right.
But so few people do is my point. Yeah. Stripes does it better than anyone, and all the rest of them are just pretending to be Stripes.
I think it's a good setup, and if you can do something creative and different with it, then you're going to have a successful film. And you're right, Stripes is probably not the only one, but one of the most well-known.
It's probably the best
I
one.
liked Sergeant Bilko.
I liked it when I was young. I don't think it'll hold up on rewatch. I really don't.
I haven't watched it in a while, too. Steven, put it on the list so that we can do we watched it when we were kids, and we haven't watched it since. Let's see if it holds up episode.
Here's the thing. It's one we can cover, so I could absolutely throw it on.
ASAMF and P.
We got some spots in the schedule, man. Like we do.
Because My aunt used to do the thing where like you worked for a company and you went to the movie theater and they had to let you in for free,
Mm-hmm.
and like you had a little sheet of paper and you wrote down the audience's reaction to each trailer and what each trailer was,
Uh-huh.
and you had a little clicker and you clicked it to see how many people came in, and you said you compared that with the ticket prices to see if like people were rolling in and shit, whatever. And I used to go with her every weekend, so I would spend like an entire Saturday at a fucking Lowe's
Yeah,
Cineplex or
you
like an
would.
AMC or a General Cinemas, and it would be for like a whole summer. So I'd be watching some movies multiple times,
Mm-hmm.
and I have seen in about a month. I saw Sergeant Bilko probably 20 times, Steven.
That's a great story. I can't wait to hear it again on the Sergeant Bilko episode.
I had no. I The reason I'm saying it now is I have not watched it since, Steven.
Right.
So please, ASAP,
I
because
mean,
now that I'm thinking about it, I've got to watch it.
Brett will like it because it's got Dan Aykroyd in it. So
I love Dan Aykroyd too, yeah, but I have to see it to number one. Like I said, I haven't seen it since I was probably in middle school. And can you imagine unlocking middle school memories? I don't know that I've ever done that because I can't think of a thing that happens in this movie. But as soon as I see it, oh boy, it's all gonna start coming back. This is gonna be a whole experience for me. Whether it's good or bad, it's gonna be an experience, and I can't fucking wait for it. Anyway, what was next on the top
I
whatever
was
there?
gonna say we're rounding out the top 10, so this is the part that should go
Yeah,
quickly, and it's not.
yeah, sure.
In seventh place, the
Hey, as
Joel
long as we're
Schumacher.
not talking about the next Karate Kid,
You know what? I'm
we can go
tempted to
on.
start talking about
Go
it
on if you
again.
want. No, okay, I'm sorry. What Joel Schumacher's what now,
The
Steven?
Client. Joel Schumacher
Okay,
is the
cool. I
Client.
like that. Yay.
In eighth place, The Lion King. Ever heard of it?
Yeah, I'm one of the few that didn't really like that one either.
Wow, you're weird. In ninth place, the
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage film "It Could Happen to You," and in 10th place, Angels in the
Okay.
Outfield.
That's the one where he gets the lottery ticket
Yeah.
and the diner lady, and that one's all right.
That one's not bad.
That deserves a rewatch, a reevaluation from people because it's pretty fucking.
And honestly,
good,
I want to do
Anyway,
the
go
next
ahead.
four because the next four all are bangers
Yeah,
too.
please.
Speed in 11th, The Flintstones at
Sweet.
12, Four Weddings and a Funeral at 13, and in 14, Tucker, new this week, the other new movie that cracked the top 15, The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Oh, the Australian Tu Wong Fu.
Yes,
Which
yes.
I like as much as Tu Wong Fu.
I've never seen either. I need to watch both.
Though if there were a gun to my head and I had to pick one, it would be Tu Wong Fu.
I know.
Just
You think I
because-
don't know that?
Because Wesley Snipes. Look, you've seen Wesley Snipes and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I have never seen a more convincing performance in the entirety of cinema from any actor, Stephen, than the performance that Wesley Snipes gives as a drag queen in Tu Wong Fu.
Okay. I've heard he's very good in it.
You will gasp, Stephen. He's so good.
I believe you. And I've heard a lot of people say that is maybe one of the bravest career choices of any Hollywood star is making that movie at that time for a star of that stat, because they were offering that to everybody and everybody turned it down. And Snipes and Swayze and Leguizamo were like, "Fuck it, we'll absolutely do this."
And that's not to put down the performances of anyone else
No.
in the movie, but just because of Snipes, who Snipes is, and who he is in every other film, to see him just walk through this like it's the easiest thing he's ever done in the world, it's breathtaking. It really is. That man in that movie.
There's a reason he was a star for as long as he was.
Shit, he should have. I'm gonna say it. He should have won an Academy Award for that movie.
His own ego and the IRS completely got in his way.
Yeah, and that's sad. But the boy's talented, and Tu Wong Fu is. If you ever have any doubts, if Wesley Snipes can do anything but action and mug at the camera and say cool one-liners, watch Tu Wong Fu. The boy gonna take you to school. He's gonna take you to motherfucking college. He's gonna get you a job afterwards.
I was gonna do the second week, but Tucker kind of prattled on for a while, so.
Oh no.
I'll make it quick. The September 9th, so 5 weeks later, is when it finally cracks the top 10.
It kind of did a word of mouth thing
at number 7. It never makes it higher than. I know, but this
they re-released Scream. That's crazy.
Oh, Yeah.
Wow, it goes up to 7.
Yeah, it goes up. It's as high as it gets. The next weekend it's at 9. The next weekend after that it's completely off again. Like,
Yeah.
no, this movie's not
What do you
doing
think
well.
it was that gave it the little bump? Did something else come out with one of the main actors in it that was like really popular?
I don't think so.
Because that's weird. Because it's like not a good movie,
No.
and it got such an insignificant bump. Is
Mhm.
the whole crux of it. So what is it that gave it that tiny bump?
And that's the thing.
Weird Al didn't do a parody of any song on it, so it's not the Yankovic bump. We know that much.
I don't know. What I know is that number 1 is Forrest Gump is still on the charts, and he's in at number 1 10 weeks in. Now that movie having now made almost 250 million, $247.8 million. Natural Born Killers in its third week at number 2. Clear and Present Danger from 1 down to 3 in 6 weeks. So that movie's made over 100,000 or 100 million. It's getting another sequel. In fourth place, Trial by Jury, a movie I have never heard of, new this week. Starring William Hurt, Mike Starr, Bo Starr, Gabriel Byrne, Joanne Watley, Armand Asante.
I know who Gabriel Byrne is, but outside of that, I didn't understand any of the words you just said.
I was actors' names, dude. You don't know Mike Starr? You know Mike Starr. Because you just mentioned Dumb and Dumber. You know Mike Starr. Mike's he's
he's the guy with the ulcer. He's
yeah,
the pills.
Yeah.
He's in everything.
He is. He's great. Love Mike Starr. Great Chicago actor, Mike Starr.
Yeah.
In fifth place, The Mask again. That movie's now cracked 100 million as well. Milk Money at number 6. That's down from fifth place to sixth. I think that's the one where Melanie Griffith is a prostitute who's Ed Harris's kids are sad that he's lonely and widowed, so they buy him a prostitute with their milk money. Yeah, that's, and then they end up falling in love with each other, I think. It's got Malcolm McDowell and Heche. I remember seeing trailers.
I saw her
for that.
butthole.
Do what?
And Heche.
And Heche?
I saw her butthole in the remake of Psycho.
Okay.
Sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
What an odd thing to say.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Anne Heche. Rest in peace.
The thing is, you asked me like the box office like 20 minutes ago, and the fact that we're still doing, like, I just shudder to think anyone who looked at the timestamp at that moment and goes, "Oh, they're almost done. I wonder how much time."
Oh,
good. Holy shit! And you're like, "Oh my god!" It's anytime that happens, it's because Tucker just gets on another tangent and cannot contain himself. Tucker forgot his meds and just goes off the chain.
Actually, I think I had too much of my meds, if I'm being honest.
Maybe that's what it is.
I might go get some more real quick while you tell me what's next.
So the next thing is the next Karate Kid is next. Only in 5 weeks it's made $3 million. So nope, not a good multiplier.
Now this is at that time when this movie came out. I'm gonna guess, and tell me how close I am, Steven, but I'm going to guess this movie costs about $30 million to make. $50 million at the most.
No, you're very
What's the budget
wrong.
on this?
You're very 11.
More? Really?
Yes.
Oh, I guess okay. No. That does make sense now that you say that, because you got Pat Morita coming back, and outside of Michael Ironside, these are all
unknowns
people that,
right?
Yeah.
Like,
so, yeah,
this is Swank's second movie, so they can get her for cheap. Everyone below Ironside in this movie is like a day player, more or less.
That's the Michael Eisner play right there.
Yes.
That's how he was making money for Disney in the fucking 90s with Touchstone and Hollywood Pictures, dude.
Correct.
Like, he was like, we could spend $10 million on this, make about $100 million, and like nobody will even notice.
And if it works, it's great. If it doesn't work, you get something like this.
Well, and if it doesn't work, it's only $11 million fucking dollars, which even then wasn't really a lot to spend on a movie.
Right. But yeah, there you are. And then 8 True Lies, 9 The Client, and 10 Karina. So, I mean, there's your top 10. Like, it's kind of, not a great time for movies. The tomatometer score on this one is a 7.
That's the most accurate tomatometer score I've ever seen in my life, Steve.
A 7%.
Yeah.
The critics' consensus: the next Karate Kid is noteworthy for giving audiences the chance to see a pre-Oscars Hilary Swank, but other than a typically solid performance from Pat Morita, this unnecessary fourth installment in the franchise has very little to offer. I completely agree. It's
Agreed.
the novelty.
I would have been meaner,
Of
actually.
course you would.
But yes, I agree.
You're a miserable cuss. That's why.
It's true. I'm a grumpy dude. Like Oscar the Grouch is my favorite Sesame Street character. So
That tracks.
I don't know what to tell you.
I
like slimy.
The Metascore is 36, based on generally unfavorable reviews from 15 critics. And Tucker, you want to take a stab at that Letterboxd score?
I'm going to say it's in between 2.4 and 2.9, knowing Letterboxd.
You overshot it again, 2.2.
Okay.
2.2.
That's close enough for me, honestly. Like, I like to be in there, but if I'm a couple off, I still consider it a win.
So speaking of Letterboxd scores, what are you giving this one out of 5, Tucker?
Steven, let me tell you. I think I've got to give this movie, gosh, look, I want to give it 2 stars. And I want to give both of those stars to Michael Ironside. But I can't, because the rest of this movie is such horse shit that I cannot live with myself if I give this movie more than a half star.
Wow.
So that's a half a star. That's a half a star, even though Michael Ironside deserves a salute and some respect for doing something with the fucking garbage that he was given. At least making an intimidating, scary, anxiety-inducing character. Half a star.
I gave it 2. I gave it 2.
That I wanted to. Michael Ironside, I'm so sorry. I like you deserve better, but fucking
I'm giving it a star for Michael Ironside, and I'm giving it a star for Pat Morita, who I think is just, I mean, it's kind of audience's last chance to see Mr. Miyagi again. I want to give it to him for that.
Toothless Mr. Miyagi, though. He's toothless. The character's toothless. Look, in the first 3 movies, well, at least in the first 2, it's kind of all about him and his past. Like, there's some really fucked up, sad shit in those movies. Like, he's talking about, like, his wife and his kid that died and shit. And, like, he's always getting drunk and, like, telling Daniel these stories about how much he loves his dead wife and kid and shit. And it's fucked up. And this movie, nothing. He's just a silly old man.
Which is
a sweet, wholesome, silly old man.
It's a 90s thing,
a fucking toothless version of that character.
That's very much a 90s thing, though. Like everything.
It's an insult. It's an insult. I don't say insult. It's an insult.
You really hit that second syllable. That was wild.
It's an insult to the character. This film is an insult to the character. That's all I'm gonna say. Love you, Pat Morita. Not your fault. You did your best. But this film is a fucking insult to the character.
And again, I'm not giving it to the script. I'm giving it to Pat Morita. So, yeah. And look, they're my stars. I can give them out however I want.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Look, we're high-fiving right now. You can't see this audience, but we're high-fiving like multiple times over and over. Yeah, pretty fantastic.
So yeah, that's our episode on the next Karate Kid. Join us next week for a movie that we had to reschedule today because Tucker's like, hey, the movie you wanted the movie you wanted to cover has a sequel. It got it earlier this year, and somehow you missed it. And so we're changing it up last minute. Patrons, I'll let you know here soon if I haven't already. But yeah, last minute change, last minute. That's the thing we do sometimes when we have to.
Such an improvement too. Such an improvement in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm much more excited about talking about the film we're going to talk about than the film we were going to
I love the movie we were going to talk about. Like I
had never seen it.
It's not great, but it's fun. I would recommend checking it out. I'll recommend checking it out.
Maybe we'll do like a Patreon special, like episodes that we almost made that we shouldn't have, but now we're going to make them here so that you can hear them.
I mean, that would be a good way for us to finally cover Mask of the Phantasm.
That's the actual name of the show. It's like a paragraph. It's like a Fiona Apple album title.
Yeah, like that segment that we haven't been doing lately, but should have been doing from the beginning. So occasionally we do it now. So fuck you.
And so go fuck yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shut up. Sorry, it wasn't that.
That's what it is. Yeah, we're not that mean to our audience yet.
Not go fuck yourself.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
Well, I am, but as a group, we're not.
Right,
you know?
right. But yeah, that is our episode. Join us next week. This has been the Disenfranchised Podcast. You can find us on a lot of the social medias, not all of them, but we're on Instagram, we're on Blue Sky, we're on YouTube, Facebook. Yeah, I think that's about it, right?
Letterboxd. We have a Disenfranchised Letterboxd.
We do.
Yeah.
I basically just like rate the movies as we discuss them. So if you want to see,
you like average them out,
I
right?
do. I literally average them out
rating.
in real time. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Way into so that. So this one was like 1.25. So that rounds down to a 1. So I put it as a 1
into it.
But yeah, there it is. So yeah, that join us on Letterboxd there also. And what else? Oh yeah, we also have a Patreon, patreon.com/disenfranchpod, the official conversation of the Disenfranchised Podcast. You can leave comments there for free. You can subscribe to that feed for free. But if you want to throw us an extra $5, that goes a long way to helping us fund basic necessities of the podcast, like our hosting bills. And maybe one day, if enough of people, if we become popular enough to actually like be able to pay us all, we could, pay Tucker a consummate editing fee.
Hey, $32 an hour. That's the average hourly rate for.
Okay, you're not allowed to spend more than an hour editing the podcast every week. Okay. No, sorry.
I take $32 a week
every month. Sorry, we don't make enough to do it every week.
I take $32 a month.
Yeah, I had a feeling you might.
That's a movie and some popcorn right there.
Yeah, that's something. But yeah, so
and the gas to get me there. Fucking 45 minutes to the nearest movie theater where I live.
That sucks. That blows. That really does blow.
No, I love the drive, especially late at night. I like those back road drives.
Yeah,
Very
you
nice.
would. Yeah, and also while you're on the internet, head over to wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Do it right now. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. Right, they never do.
We'll
wait. We will. When you leave one, we'll read it out. And hey, if you want us to read more things out, write to us, disenfranchpod@gmail.com.
And you know what usually happens when we get either fan mail or reviews? Like, we sit here and, like, we gush over that stuff. Like, we will make you feel so good. We love you. When you do that stuff, you go so much higher in our books of people that we love and respect. And we want to talk about that. We want to talk about how rad you are and, like, call you out by name and be like, this is, like, one of the raddest people we know because they said this.
It's true.
We want to do that.
We
want to do that.
Yeah.
In fact, you know what? There's some people who just the same people keep commenting on the Patreon, the official conversation of the Disenfranchised Podcast. Some of the same people. And I'm going to start, maybe reviewing some of that.
Okay.
Because those people, I'd like to shout them out because they're like 3 or 4 people who pretty much consistently comment on our podcasts. And not in just a, hey, good job, guys. Which we do appreciate that.
Sure.
But like they're really, engaging with us about the content.
I
find that
they join in the conversation, which is what the whole thing is. So yeah.
Yeah. It's good to have a community like that, and I'd love to grow it because I wish you guys would have had it when I first started listening to the podcast because I'm the only motherfucker commenting on any of that shit back in those days. Just talking to myself like a fucking like I'm nuts.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you do that anyway, let's be honest. Had some good conversations recently about Hearts of Space, about Joel Edgerton movies. Like,
oh yes,
we've been talking about shit, man. It do happen.
I want more people to get up in there because I think we could have a really good time and have a lot of really fun conversations about the shit that we're talking about here on the podcast. I want to hear, like, I'm in love with my opinion for sure, but the only thing that I love almost as much as my opinion is hearing other people's opinions because I think that's just interesting. Whether I agree or disagree, I want to know all about it.
And one thing you can always be assured of if you disagree with Tucker, that your opinion is straight up valid.
It's going to be valid as fuck, and I'm going to let you know.
He will.
Before I tell you why you're wrong.
Yeah. Can attest. As someone who's been on the other side of that, can attest.
Respectfully tell you why you're wrong.
But all that having been said, please join us there and, join us in that official comment thread. Rate us on your podcatcher of choice. Send us those emails. And hey, again, we love you guys. Thank you for listening. We just want to engage with you a little more. So yeah, help us engage. Help us help you. If you like what you're listening to, let us know. And if you don't like it, tell us how we can improve. respectfully.
Yeah. For real, because let me tell you, I've been listening to a lot of other podcasts that are similarly budgeted, I guess, or have the similar impact that we have. I've been listening to a lot of those lately, and none of them, to me, none of them kind of match what we're doing. No disrespect to them, but I want to know why. Like, if you disagree with me, I want to know why, because I want to like make it better and shit. Like, I have a good time doing this. Steven has a good time doing this. Brett, when he's here, God love him, has a good time doing this. And what makes us the happiest is to like make other people interested in what we have to say.
Right.
So help us know how to do that.
Yeah.
We just want to know you. Creepiness over. Continue, Steven.
But yeah, anyway, I'm your host, Stephen Foxworthy. You can find me on Blue Sky, on Instagram, and Letterboxd at Chewy Walrus. Brett is taking a breather from the socials right now, so don't find him anywhere but Letterboxd at sus_warlock. Tucker?
I'm still on YouTube and Instagram as Ice909. That's ICENINE, the number 0 and the number 9. Also, Tuck Mugs is obviously still a thing, and I noticed recently that my social media manager officially changed at some point. It could have been months ago, and I just hadn't noticed. Officially changed the name of the page to Tuck Mugs, because originally it was Tuck's Mugs,
Mm-hmm.
I believe, was it not? And then our hashtag or whatever was Tuck_mugs. So I don't know. It just kind of became Tuck Mugs.
He did that a while ago, I think.
You just gave it away.
Shh. Tucker, cut that out.
Okay, I'll cut that out. Yeah. Tucker, hey, future Tucker, cut that out. Thank you. Love you. Bye. So now we did post a little bit of something a couple weeks ago, but what I really need right now, this is a call to arms of all Tuck Mug fans, of all disenfranchised and disenfranchised,
Disenfranchisees.
also those people, and anybody that listens to any of the other podcasts that we may have, guested on, and maybe you're here because of that or whatever. Look, I need. I don't want them anymore, guys. I need guest mugs. I need another perspective, because I have things in my pocket ready to go, but I need stuff in between. I gotta have filler, and not in a bad way filler like you have on a Nickelback album, but like the good kind of filler. The shit that's like, it's the good shit, but since it is an Instagram profile that does self-publish, like, I feel like the self-published stuff is kind of the pillar, and the guest stuff is the stuff in between. And like I say, not in a bad way, but it really is kind of. I'm saying it's good, and I need it.
He's saying this filler is killer, is what he's trying to say.
Kill the filler or fill the killer. I don't know. Look, send me guest mugs, because not only am I eventually going to run out of mugs, moment of honesty, but I'm like low key, I'm really interested in your mugs. Like, I want to show me your mugs. PM me your mugs, would you?
Yeah,
I just want to see some mugs.
do it.
I'm not trying to look at your feet. I'm not trying to buy your bathwater. Just show me your mugs.
And no, that's not a euphemism. He literally means mugs.
No, I mean it. Like the actual mugs you drink coffee in, tea, eat soup out of them bitches. Whatever you do. Let me see your mugs.
Yeah.
Give me the mug. I want the mugs. Give me the mug. That's Tuck_mugs on Instagram. I don't know how we devolved into the YouTube classic leprechaun video.
I was literally thinking about that as I was driving earlier.
I want to know where the mug's at.
I want the mugs. Give me the mugs.
I want the mugs.
Oh my God.
See, my theory is that it's a mug on the other branch in the tree, and it could be a crackhead.
Y'all see the mug? Say yeah.
Hey, everybody thinks these two mugs. Say yeah. Yeah. Can we see the amateur sketch? Can that be the next Tuck Mugs post? Like an amateur sketch of a mug? Can we have that?
Did you see the Key and Peele sketch on that where they basically recreate that? It's so brilliant. It's so
the Pegasus?
good. Yes.
Yeah, the Pegasus.
Anyone has seen the Pegasus, say yeah.
Look, listeners, if you have no idea what we're talking about, go on to YouTube and look up. I just searched the word leprechaun, and it'll probably be the first thing that comes up, honestly. This video is 20 years old.
It's the
and
best.
it is
it's
a
so
YouTube
funny.
staple. It is fantastic. It's just premium entertainment.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
It's from the Antoine Dodson era of premium internet entertainment. That golden era. It's the Silver Age. No, the Golden Age.
I think it's called Leprechaun in Alabama, is what I think it's called.
It's in Mobile. I would say
yes. Look up Leprechaun in Alabama, and it's the original Crichton Leprechaun news story from Local 15 News WPMI.
Oh, you're right. It's Crichton, yeah.
So there you go. Yeah, it's only 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes, so it's pretty incredible. There is a 13 minute video called The Real Story Behind the Alabama Leprechaun. So,
oh geez, I don't even want to see that. What the fuck?
I kind of do. I'm not gonna lie, I might watch that as soon as we're done here. Anyway, that's all we have for today. So I am your host, Stephen Foxworthy. This has been the Disenfranchised Podcast. For my co-host Tucker and the absent Brett Wright, until next time.
See, this flute wards off spells. It's the ancient leprechaun flute from my great-great-grandfather.
I couldn't even think of anything from Next Karate Kid, so that's probably for the best.
Fuck the Next Karate Kid. Nobody gives a shit about the Next Karate Kid, Steven. The end.